flip man. It's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.
Good afternoon and welcome to a special edition of my daily live streams, where we're here to share with you an opportunity to start virtually wholesaling nationwide with only $100. And how that's going to be accomplished is through a tool that I've been fortunate enough to be introduced to. Some of you all may know of it already. But I was just introduced last Saturday by Jamil. And so one of the main guys there at the operation, Benson, he's here to demo this tool on how he personally uses the tool to actually find deals himself. And he's in one city and he targets another city. So how's it going, Benson?
It's going fantastic. I'm so excited to be here.
No problem at all, man. I really appreciate you allowing us to see you go to work or whatever. So just like with anything, I like to just get some background on who you are and how we got to this point.
Yeah, I'm one of the owners of Privy. I've been in the business for over 20 years. I started back in 2001 or so. When I was actually active duty in the Air Force, and I started kind of dabbling in some real estate type things, and started off actually slinging mortgages to generate some cash. And one of my buddies that I was working with was doing fix and flips, and I just got a little taste of helping him out there, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And so Privy's been around for about 10 years that we've been around. And we've been doing this for a while, but one of the key things is that when we built Privy, my business partner, Scott Fall, and he's the brainchild of the product. And we were both real estate agents in the same office, and we had MLS data. We were experienced investors. We had, a sphere around us, and we just still could not effectively find and analyze deals, having all those resources. So we went to the MLS and said, listen, we want to be able to run algorithms against this data to be able to basically automate the whole process of finding deals, running comps, tracking markets, scaling our business. And, many years later, here we are. And we really believe that this is the easiest time in history to be able to find deals. And it's all handled by data and technology. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, wow. That's what's up, man. So we'll go ahead and just get into it, man. You can go ahead and should be a share your screen option there. That'll allow us to get right into the tool.
Got it. Okay. Can you see my screen?
We can see it.
Amazing. So Privy, it's a web-based software application. You can access it from any device that has an internet connection. I'm currently working off my laptop. We do have a mobile version of this. It's not a native app. It's just mobile optimized. We find that works better. And so what you're looking at right here is Privy. So Privy is, right now we're showing you the nationwide access. We got multiple sources of data. We've got kind of the same data that other platforms have, like a PropStream or a Batch Leads, or some of those other platforms, the owner information, mortgage information, deed data. We've got lots of off-market leads. You can find foreclosures and vacancies and absentee owners, zombie properties, and all that stuff is all well and good. It's just that we all know that off-market game can be very difficult. There's a reason why more than 90% of everybody that starts in this business doesn't do any deals. And it's because when they get in, they think that they're going to be doing real estate, but in reality, they become a marketer. They become a salesperson. They become a bounty hunter and a therapist. And they wear all these hats that have nothing to do with real estate because they're chasing leads. And that's what people teach. Now, listen, I've done the off market stuff. It works. It's just, I do believe that most investors should have multiple sources of deals. And that off market formula is difficult to perfect. There's a lot of levers and a lot of options that you have to get right for it to work. And it can take a long time, a lot of resources, a lot of money. And most people just don't have the runway to be able to figure it out. So what I'm going to show you guys today is the ability to generate revenue doing on-market deals. And regardless of what anybody has said in the past, most people have been indoctrinated to believe that you can't get deals from the MLS. The data tells us that the majority of deals come from the MLS. So if you're ignoring on-market deals as a source of deal flow, you're passing up on the majority of the stuff that's out there. That's just the facts. So what I'm going to show you today is a way to identify, number one, the best areas to look for deals. Now, this will be useful even if you decide that you just want to focus on off-market. What I'm going to show you today will help you get more properties under contract. You'll be able to make the numbers work, and you're going to get better data to prove after repair value, as well as have an easier strategy on the disposition side, because you're going to have more buyers, you're going to have more investor-focused agents. All of it's going to be easier. So in the fix and flip world, the wholesale world, everything is determined by after repair value, right? ARV is king. And what that means is that if you're going to be able to get a deal, you have to find it at a specific discount from the after repair value. So they what they say is a percentage of ARV. And in general, right around 70% is where people start to find deals, 70 and down. Now, in some markets like Denver, the West Coast, many big cities, they're going up to 80, 82, 85% of the ARV in some situations. And that's not, I mean, that I know that because I look at the data. And what I want to teach you guys is that if you use the data, you will become a much more informed, educated, and prepared wholesaler, real estate investor, because now you can base decisions on the actual realities of the market, not a universal formula that you learned, like the 70% MAO formula, maximum allowable offer. So that formula goes like this. You got the after repair value times 70% minus the construction cost minus your assignment fee. And what I know is that formula is causing you to pass up on deals, or it's causing you to make lowball offers on properties because you're not privy to the actual realities of the market and what buyers will actually do. So you need to be looking for deals where your comps are at. You need to be looking for deals where you can get the data to actually prove after repair value and where your buyers are at. So at the top right here, we've got these quick deal buttons. So if I click this one right here that says fix and flip, this is actually going to plot on the map everywhere where there's fix and flips happening in the United States. Now, the key to this is, and I believe, where you look for deals is the most important thing, regardless of your strategy. So even if you're doing a strategy like seller financing or subject to, or any sort of other creative deal structure, this will also help that strategy, because a rising tide raises all ships. If you can find properties at a discount, regardless of your exit strategy, even if it's buy and hold or Airbnb, you're going to be better off. So this is a heat map. And where you see larger circles and higher numbers is where more deals are being done. And what I'm finding based off the data is that the Midwest and the East Coast are the best places to do deals. And the data supports that. So higher numbers of activity means there's more people doing deals there. Now, ultimately, somebody here is going to say, well, if there's more activity, don't want to have more competition? And the answer is yes, you will. But that's the nature of this business. In a comparable driven business, you need to be where your competition is. Otherwise, you have no comps, right? Comps might as well just mean competition. They're two things that have to be in place. So where would I look if I was going to search for deals? So where you see these higher numbers, look at this 4,500 deals in the Chicago market. This is all in the last 12 months. St. Louis is where I'm looking. There's like 28 homes, almost 1,000 deals in the last 12 months. Indianapolis is a pretty good market. Look at Oklahoma City. You move even closer to the East Coast, Philadelphia has a lot of activity. Maryland, Baltimore. As you move south on the East Coast, you're looking at markets like Atlanta, and you move into places like Tampa is really hot. And so what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you some other markets that actually we don't talk about all that often because I just haven't looked there. So we'll go in kind of blind. So let's go into the Dallas market. So Dallas has got close to 5,000 deals. Now that includes Fort Worth, right? Now the cool thing about Privy 2 is that what we do differently than everybody else is we've got direct to MLS data in over 60 markets. So this is the best data that's available. It has the best photos. It's updated multiple times per hour. You've got good property descriptions. You can get access to agent information, and that could be extremely useful. So this area right here, this is actually a non-disclosure state, right? Now, if I zoom in even closer here, you can see that this area right here in between Dallas and Garland is the hottest area in maybe all of Texas. We've even looked at Austin and San Antonio. This is a really hot area. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more here. And what's going to happen are these clusters are going to break up into the individual transactions that closed. And we can see these deals. Now, instead of using a universal formula, I'm going to encourage you guys to become the local market expert. You want to know what people are buying properties at, what they're selling them at, how much money they're making, how long does the process take. You want to learn all this by researching the data. So over here on the left are these closed deals. This report right here is called a comparative market analysis. When I was an agent, or I'm still an agent licensed, but when I was doing a representation of lots of clients, it would take me an hour or two to build one of these. And even to comp it out, it could take me, multiple hours. But what our system does is it comps properties out for you immediately. So it's actually building a comparative market analysis for every single property in the US 24/7. And these are all the real-time comps. So you can see we got active, under contract, sold comparables. We also have rental data. So if you're building a portfolio of rental properties, or if you have buyers that are, you can calculate cash on cash return or your ROI. Here's all of the comparables there. And we use the major property characteristics to pull comps. So square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, stories, all that stuff. Now, this property right here, let me zoom out a little bit so we can get more of this on the screen. It's going to be smaller for you, but you'll be able to see more. So here's the before and after. So we bring two transactions together. This house was flipped. Now, it was purchased from the MLS in January of this year. Okay. It was sold on the MLS. So we have the after pictures in a non-disclosure state, and also just in Texas in general. They're sometimes pulling the older photos from the internet because of copyright scenarios with photographers. But now you can see the actual after photos as well. So you can see what kind of construction they use, what kind of material they use. You can get design ideas. And honestly, this is like a real world fix and flip show. You guys were talking, Ty was talking about Jamil earlier, and he's on that, what is it? Triple digit flip, I think it's called. Yeah. And so those shows they're fun, right? But there's a lot of production in them, and who knows if the numbers are right or what's going on. But this here is actually a real flip that happened. Now, this property was purchased from the MLS. So if you don't think you can get deals from the MLS, the very first one we looked at was bought from the MLS. And here's the numbers. They bought it for $220,000. They sold it for $405,000. They grossed $185,000. Now, gross means you haven't taken out costs. But when you're calculating percentage of ARV, it doesn't take into consideration. It's always a gross number, right? 54% of the ARV. Over here on the right are the timelines. So it was under construction for 101 days. That's the time from when they purchased it to when they actually relisted it. 26 days on market. So the time from when they purchased this property to then when they put the check in the bank was 127 days. Now, this kind of local market intelligence and education, you can't get anywhere else, right? Ty is an amazing mentor. He's an amazing coach. He knows his stuff, but he can't tell you what a deal is in Dallas today. He can't tell you what a deal is in Philadelphia versus San Francisco versus Seattle. The market is constantly in flux. And with all of these different markets out there, the only way you can learn this is from a system like ours. And this, in my humble opinion, is the most important education that you can have, is what a deal is. Like, you could have the best marketing out there. You perfected your marketing engine. You can be doing pay-per-click or Facebook ads. But when those leads come in, you don't know what offer to write, and you don't know how to run comps, and you don't know what a deal is in that target market, then those leads are essentially useless. So you have to spend time on the real estate side of the business to learn real estate. And if you do that, everything else will start to fall into place. Down below that is the public record data. So we're pulling in the owner information, the mortgage information, deed data, assessor's info, and you can actually see what's going on with this house. If it's vacant, you can see if there's a mortgage on the property, right? Here's the mortgage that's on this house. You can see who was involved in the transactions. So the fix and flipper on this deal was AAS Holdings LLC. Now, if you're a wholesaler, what's the normal way that you build your buyers list? Well, you maybe go to Facebook, and you might go to the Dallas Facebook group and say, hey, where are my Dallas buyers at? And maybe you get like a handful of emails. But are any of those people really doing deals? Or are most of them just other wholesalers trying to get in the middle of a daisy chain transaction? And that's all well and good. But if you want to have an effective wholesaling company, you need to have real buyers that are doing deals today. And AAS Holdings is one of those companies. We know that they're doing deals because we're looking at a house they just closed this week, right? Use the data to make better decisions. So every property that I showed you on that map has a buyer attached to it. The other thing that's attached to every one of those is an agent. So if you're going to be doing on-market deals, or you're going to be looking for properties that are on the MLS, you want to work with an agent who knows what they're doing, somebody who understands how to work with real estate investors, how to run the numbers, how to give you feedback on your comparables. And right here, Anna Zamora is the agent on this deal. Anna is an agent you would want to work with in the Texas market. And we have this for all the other areas that we have data for. So she's with Jane Bird Properties. So you would want to reach out to Anna. Now, if you wanted to find Anna, you could simply just Google her by just cutting and pasting. On a PC, you can actually just do a quick Google search right from there. And here's Anna. So she looks like a nice lady. You maybe want to do some business with her. So she's doing deals, right? So here's what we're doing right now. We're building our local market education. And 5 years ago, it could take you multiple years to get this level of understanding of a local market. Because before, the only way you could learn it was by getting out there and actually doing these deals. Now we're going to help you shorten your learning curve, become that local market expert, so that when you guys see a property where the numbers make sense, you'll know it because you've done the research. And you don't have to spend months or weeks or days even doing this. It's hours. Within hours, I can go in and I'll know the market better than somebody who's been on the ground in that market for years, because the data tells a story. Let's look at one more. This one is on Vackery. It sold for $625. The agent on this one is David Lilly. You can see right here. And let's go to the before and after. This property was purchased off market. Now, here's an interesting thing. A lot of people think, well, off market deals are the best deals. Well, look at this one. They bought this one off market, and they actually paid a higher percentage of ARV than AAR did on that last property who got it from the MLS. They paid 60% of the ARV, right? So this is what the kind of education that will start to change your paradigm about what this business really means. Do you have to go off market to get good deals? Well, no. We found one that was at 50-something%. And we actually found a buyer who actually was willing to pay 60% of the ARV for an off-market property. And that buyer is right down here. And we can find those people and keep track of them. So these are the Lilies. So David Lilly is the agent, and they're also the flipper. So they're double ending this deal. Again, that's an interesting thing to know. I bet you that they would be willing to work with you, and you could form a pretty good partnership with the Lilies because they're actively agents and they're buying properties. So we're not going to dig too deep in here, but what we teach our people is to go in and research the last 10 to 20 closed deals in any given market. And that will start to get you that intelligence. And then what you're going to want to do is just save the search by using our filter. And then this will email you new matches as they're found. Now, this save search also works for searching for on-market deals or foreclosures or vacancies. You can save any search. This is just to show you that you can get updates on your local market. So you're keeping your finger on the pulse of what's happening. What are the trending areas? Or who are the active people? If there was an area like right here in Forest Hills, well, no one's doing deals right there. Is that because it's already picked over, or is it because it's just not ready for investor activity? Someone has to do that first deal there. You never want to be the trailblazer if you're a fix and flipper because you're not going to be able to maximize your ROI. And of course, if you're a wholesaler, you would never want to look for deals in Forest Hills because you're not going to have any comps. You're not going to have any buyers. So that's the research. Okay. Now, if you were going to do on or off market marketing, this is where you would do it. So you could create a filter here to give you, say, absentee owners or vacancies to create a list that you could go and market to. Maybe you want to cold call or skip trace and get the information and cold call. If you're going to drive for dollars, this is where you'd want to do it. That way, if you found a quote unquote motivated seller, you could give them a more realistic offer. So here's the way this works. This was what I call a high investor activity area. There's lots of information here that will help you prove value. And this area is better for all the reasons because of the fix and flip activity. You'll have a higher rates of appreciation. You'll have more buyers here. You'll have better data, and you're going to be able to do more on-market deals. So think about like this. If you have a scale of 0 to 10, and 10 is the after repair value of a property in an area, and 0 is the maximum allowable offer. And in between here is all of your costs. Like you got your construction costs, your realtor fees, title fees, all your other, soft costs. And then also the profit, right, for the fix and flipper and your assignment fee if you're wholesaling. So all that has to be in there. And so if you move this around, you need to have the maximum allowable offer to support your margins. So if you're in a high investor activity area, everything shifts. You have higher values, which means you can offer more to make the same margins work, which allows you to give more realistic offers. That will help you in an off-market scenario. It'll also help you do more on-market deals. But if you're in an area like Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where no one's doing deals, well, you've got lower values, so everything gets pushed down. Lower values, which means you have to submit a much lower offer to make all the same margins work, which is why you're maybe not getting offers accepted. It's because you're submitting all these lowball offers that people just don't want to accept, and the numbers don't support them. So can you find on-market deals right here in this Dallas market? Well, maybe not. So we're going to go ahead and click that one button that says find similar active deals. So we're going to look for deals here, and I'm going to lower this, say 70%. You can define what a deal is for your market. So after doing your research, you're going to find buyers and they're going to say, hey, I want to be at 65% of the ARV, or I want to be at 70%, or I need to be in this zip code and I need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath that's at 70% of the ARV and cash flows $300 per month. You can set that up in our system. So let's lower this to 70%. And let's go to, say, we don't want to spend more than $400,000. That's just an arbitrary number I picked. All right, and you can choose the date range. I'm sorting by days on market. Now it's any given Sunday, right? Like you may or may not find properties that make sense, but if there is a property, it's going to show it to you. And then you just save that search and the system will go and it'll continually look for deals for you. So here's this house, it's 245,000. And then we can look at the comps here and it looks like this house was flagged as a deal at 245 because there's several properties in the area that are saying this thing makes a lot of sense. All right, so one of the properties was flipped. This property right here sold for 395. This one is at 366. So this putting this property at 62, between 62 and 67% of the ARV at asking price. At asking price. And so we didn't have to go out and do a bunch of marketing to find a deal like this. This is something. Now this is one of the comps, right? This is what's proving that our property is worth 395, and then we can use these comparables to prove value to our end buyers or eventually that appraiser, right? And this is what you want to do if you're doing wholesale is you want to put yourself in the shoes of your buyers. And they're thinking about, is this house going to appraise? They're thinking multiple steps down the road. And if you have a strategy of thinking about what's going to happen down the road, beginning with the end in mind, you'll be able to find these best areas. So this is 395. So this is a house that you can get for 245, would have a potential ARV at 395, 60%. There are buyers in the Dallas market I know that are approaching 70% because I've done the research. The last couple we saw weren't as high as this, and we just looked at 2 properties, right? But 62%. That's just one example. And now, if you wanted to say share this property with, maybe you wanted to send it to Ty to take a look at, you could just click share, put the email address, and then it'll send it to them, and they can open up this comparative market analysis on their computer and view the comparables. So you guys are all speaking the same language. It allows you to basically collaborate with your team. Let's look at another property here and see if there's anything else that looks good. This one's 275,000. Here's the photos. Real older home, needs a lot of work, but this is what a fix and flipper is looking for. And if we come down to the comparables, the reason why this house is flagged as a deal is because there's a house in the same neighborhood that just sold for 412,000. So this is the game. Now, again, our system is automatically comping these properties out for you, and it's flagging the ones that could be deals. What you're not seeing here is that it eliminated 95% of all the properties that make absolutely no sense at all. And this is where we have to think about what we're spending our time on. The majority of us aren't doing this full time, right? It's your side hustle. It's it's something that you're doing in the evenings and weekends. And so you have to be really conscious about what you spend your time on. And if you're spending all your time running comps on properties that aren't deals, well, you're not spending time writing offers or going to showings or trying to make money in the business. So you're going to spend time on money-making activities. Now let's try this in another market. Let's go to, actually, let's go right here. Let's try Philadelphia. Philadelphia was a market that looked pretty hot. So now it's just putting that same filter here in Philadelphia, but actually I want to go lower in Philly. I want to go down to 60%. I'm going to lower this much lower. How are we doing so far, Ty?
Oh, we're good. We're good. That's right. That's right.
Okay, so we're going to go down to 150,000. And I'm looking at both single family attached. There's a lot of row homes in Philly.
What about the surrounding areas? You just want to focus on Philly in city limits?
We can look at surrounding areas as well. That's a good point. So right now we're within the city limits. I call it Philadelphia proper. We got a checkbox here which allow you to see some of the suburbs as well, and that'll keep you still centered around Philly. So let's zoom in here. And then we'll see some of these properties right here. So here's some of the houses that our system flagged as potential deals.
Yeah, talk about the little logo there, the Privy preferred. if you will.
Yeah, Privy Preferred is a really cool thing. So when we teach people to zero in on these high investor activity areas, you are, you're starting from the top and then you're going down there every time, right? But you don't have to do that every time. That's part of the education. That's how I demonstrate the product. But in the way I use it every day is I'm looking for properties that have the good data and meet my deal criteria. Now, one of these things that helps is this tag right here. It's called Privy Preferred. So what this shows is that this house meets my deal criteria, and at least one of the properties that our system used to flag this property as a deal was flipped. And so right down in here, you can see that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 properties. Actually, 5, 6, 7 properties were flipped. Now, remember I mentioned earlier, you want to be where your comps are at. Well, it's really easy to determine after repair value for your house if you got 6 fix and flip comps, as opposed to being an area where no one's doing flips. And now you have to use properties that are unrenovated to try to determine after repair value. See how that's basically impossible? You'd be guessing what the ARV is if you don't actually have the evidence.
Real quick, identify with them the ones that show bold and don't, and what that means or whatever. So
definitely. So what we do is we identify these fix and flip properties by showing you the before and the after. Remember, we were looking at those closed ones before, and we had the before and after section. Well, now we're pulling out the prices on the acquisition price and what it sold for. So this house right here was purchased for $75K, sold for $206K. And so that tells me that this is a flip, right? This one right here, 120 to 179. This one was at 100 and sold for 195. So these are all properties that were renovated, okay? And so we're going to use those to help us prove our after repair value. And then we can actually look at one of these, like this one right here on Leaper, was just fix and flipped. And then basically all we have to do is do this same kind of renovation on our property to get the same price range, right? This is the game. You use these properties as a model for what you need to do. These properties are also what you use when you're marketing this property. If you can get under contract, we're going to send Leaper the photos and everything to our buyer to help them do their due diligence. And so when you have these fix and flip comps, it makes it kind of a no-brainer. This house that we can get for $74,900 has an after repair value between $195 and $224. So even if we said it was at, let's just say $200K, we're going to be conservative. We got $74,000 as the acquisition price. That's on market at asking price. We didn't have to cold call or skip trace or knock on anybody's door. We didn't have to submit a lowball offer that has no chance of being accepted. We could actually go in at asking price on this property and still have a property that is lower than 50% of the ARV. 37% of the ARV. 37%. Now here's the crazy thing. This house is at 37%, and then we're thinking, oh, we need to find a buyer. Well, here's a buyer right here. This house on Saul Street, they got this one at, let's go down to the before and after, at about 50% of the ARV from off market, right? 51%. This one's at 37 and it's on market. You think they would be interested in this properly? Heck yeah, they would be, because we know they bought something at 51 and they're probably looking for a deal right now. So this is how you connect the dots. So I'm actually going to share this property right here in Philadelphia with you guys. I'm going to put this in the chat, and I would love for somebody here to go write an offer on it. Now, if you're going to say, oh, well, Philadelphia is not my market, please stop getting in your head about what your market is. Your market should be where the deals are at, not where you live or where you work or where you went to school. You might be in a crappy market like I am. I'm in Denver. Well, guess what? I'm not looking for deals in Denver right now. I'm actually doing deals in St. Louis. So I got over my need to be where I live. Now, there are some additional logistical challenges in doing deals in another market, but you can overcome all of that by using the data. I found the agent that I'm using, who's my eyes and ears and boots on the ground in St. Louis, by just looking at closed deals. And so Nika is her, and she's doing an amazing job for me. She goes and she looks at the properties for me. She takes pictures, she takes photos. That way, if there's something that's wrong with the property that I can't get from the photos like this, she can say, "Oh, Benson, that property, the foundation's crumbling. Like let's just avoid it altogether." Or she could say, "Yeah, like there's water seepage. It's not a huge deal, but we probably have to spend $3,000 to get that fixed." And so now I can communicate that to my buyers so they know what they're getting into, and they're not just finding it on their own and thinking I don't know what I'm doing. So you can absolutely do this. Now, one of the things that I know a lot of investors do is they use keywords to search for deals. Well, keywords can be misleading because they only work if the agent puts them in there. Well, if they put investor special in the property remarks and it's not an investor deal, you're going to spend time analyzing it. Well, what if they don't put it in there? Now you're going to be missing out on opportunities that could be good deals. Just use the comps. The comps tell the story. This property you can get for 59 grand. And there's 2 fix and flips in the area. It puts this house in the 31 to 37% range. $59,000. Now, when you find one of these properties, all you would do is just forward it to your agent and say, "Let's submit an offer." So I just click forward right here, and I would put my price and terms in here. So I say, "Hey, Nika, I want to write an offer on this property. Let's go in full price. I'm going to do a $500 earnest money deposit. Here's the proof of funds." The proof of funds you guys can get, there's multiple sources. Jamil has a funding company that they do. There's a company called Kogo Capital that you can get a proof of funds. Best transaction funding. Ty, do you have one that you recommend?
Yeah, they can go to realpof.com, REALPOF.com.
Go to realpof.com. That's the one you want to use. If that's what Ty is recommending, they're legit. And you want those letters to be legit too, because sometimes the listing agent will call to see if they're legit. Will they actually fund your deal? So look at all of these. There's an endless amount. One of the things that I know about this business is that if you're not submitting offers, you can't get into a negotiation, and you definitely can't get properties under contract, and you can't get closings. And if you were exclusively doing off market and you aren't doing it full time, if you don't have a virtual assistant or you don't have a call center or you can't answer the phone 24 hours a day, you don't have at least 3 to 6 months of a marketing budget, and if you haven't perfected that whole process to where you're getting consistent deal flow, you need another source of deals. This can be that source. Now, Privy isn't only for getting on-market deals. It's just one of the things we do. We can help you analyze any property, whether it's on-market, off-market. You can just type the address of the property right in here to the search bar. We actually have a bulk upload feature. So if you're sourcing lists from other places, maybe like in Denver, for example, you can download probates right from the county website. You can download foreclosures from the website. Maybe you've got a probate attorney buddy who's giving you lists. Well, use those if that's what you're doing, and you can upload them right into Privy, and our system will build a comparative market analysis, add pull comps. It actually appends all the public record info onto it, and so when it builds that CMA, everything's together. Even if all you have is an address, our system does all that for you. Now, if you're going to be doing off market, and let's say you want to export buyers lists, right? You can download up to 10,000 leads from our system per month. So if you are targeting those foreclosures or those absentee owners, we'll give you up to 10,000 per month. And it isn't just a spreadsheet. Our system also exports the link for the comparative market analysis for each one of those homes. So that if you're working from that spreadsheet, or if you upload that to your CRM, that link that I showed you before, the sharing link, is one click away. So you can click right into the property that you're analyzing. Maybe somebody calls you off one of your bandit sign campaigns, and you say, "Well, what property are you calling in on?" Well, it's right. You just click right there. It pops up, and you're like, "Oh, okay, right on." And you can be looking at the comps while you're talking to them. You don't have to, you buy time and say, oh, I'm going to talk to my business partner and get back to you. Like, you may only have one chance to talk to that person, right? It's hard enough to get anybody on the phone. And if you're not, booking an appointment or giving a potential offer on that first call, you may have just missed out on that lead. So use this data to your advantage. Now, this here is just Philadelphia. The really cool thing about our system, you guys, is you could actually do this nationwide. You could have a nationwide search that's searching for properties. Just check this out. This is crazy. Let's do single family, active, fix and flip, properties that are lower than, let's say, 40% of the ARV. Is Privy preferred, right? So that means at least one of the comps are flipped and is for sale for less than $100,000. And it came on the market this week. Right, real simple filter. The system is not complicated to use. The many years we've been around, we've been taking feedback from all of our users, and we are constantly updating and upgrading, making things really simple to use. It's just a series of check boxes and little radio buttons, and the system is doing all that heavy lifting for you. It's really simple to use. Plus, we've got a ton of training and education that we do. We got live trainings we do twice per week. Here's a house you can get for $25,000. It's in Hazelwood, Missouri. I don't know anything about Hazelwood. Is this a deal? Think how long it would take you to go and find this property by using traditional means. This property right here is flagged as a deal. And look at these comps. This went for $150,000, $124,000. You get this for $29K. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. This might be a really good rental. $29K. Does anybody want to have a rental in Hazelwood, Missouri? Well, it'll rent out for almost $1,000 a month. And this actually might even be in rental grade shape. You just have to go in there and clean it up. Maybe not. You probably have to put a bit more money into it. But this is how simple it can be. That's Hazelwood. Let's see another house.
I guess it's a suburb of St. Louis.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at this one. This one's $20,000, $49,000 in Farmington, Missouri. Apparently, Missouri's got some deals. This one's got some great curb appeal. It looks like the Amityville Horror House, but maybe it's not haunted. Look at this house, $49,000, and we got comps here up $225,000. The numbers can be ridiculous. Now, all I would do, you guys, at this point is just save the search, like I showed you before. And then our system will just email you opportunities. You could literally write 50 offers a day. Now, that would be kind of difficult to do on your own, but we've got a guy who uses our software up in the Chicago market. He's closed 350 deals in the last 12 months using the exact same strategy that I just showed you. His name's Christian Chase. He's absolutely killing it. He's got a team, right? He's got acquisition people. He's got disposition people. He does some of the deals for himself. He keeps some. He gives some to his clients. He's actually an agent too. It's absolutely amazing.
Wow.
So let's open it up to some questions. Anything pop up in there that you want to talk about, Ty?
Yeah, just real quick, just for me. Whenever you said in the beginning, you said that with someone, when they go into a market, they need to look at the last 10 deals. I'm assuming it can be done. The last, how you can sort that information to be able to look at those last 10 transactions.
Right. So at the top right here, we have this quick deals bar, right? So that's what I use to find the investor activity. So I click the fix and flip button, and it's going to show me on the map where those hot areas are at. And then you're going to drill down. The cool thing is, remember I told you, you don't want to get stuck in your own backyard if there's no deals there. If you live in South Dakota, you're going to have a really hard time making any money in this business. It's just the fact. Now, if you lived in an area like St. Louis, well, that's awesome. Now you're your own boots on the ground. But with the way that Privy works, you can have 2 or 3 markets that you're pulling deals from, right? So you don't have to be focused in. So now, how would you learn that market? Well, you would actually go in and just look at the last 5 to 10 deals. So let's say we were looking in, the Maryland area. Right. Maryland's actually got some good activity down here. Baltimore. And I'm going to adjust this filter because it's still using that last filter I had. I'm going to take out this $100,000. And then up over here on the left is where you're going to see those properties. And I sorted by sold date. So the most recent fix and flip that's going to be on my screen is going to be at the very top of the list. Right. So this house right here, 4106 Crawford Street, closed yesterday.
What did you where did you do this sold date? Where did you do that, in the filters?
It's in the filter. So in that button I clicked at the top, it's basically just a preset filter. So I didn't have to actually have to go and do anything there.
Okay,
but
what if you want to change it? That's what I guess.
Yep, it's right down here. So sort by sold date.
Okay, cool. So it defaulted to that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep. Let me turn that off. I apologize.
Gene, great. It's on the marbles. Phoenix.
I'm gonna turn that off so we don't have people calling in while we're talking. All right. So there's that sort. Okay, so at the top here is the house that sold yesterday. So that's the most relevant information. So many times when you're learning things out of a textbook or things you see on YouTube, you're learning old stuff. It's already, many of it is maybe already obsolete. But with this, you can look at a property that was just fix and flipped, closed yesterday. This was an MLS deal. Here's where they bought it. They just bought it over here in December. Here's what it looked like before they flipped it. Rough, right? That house is rough. But here it is now. Look at that.
Wow.
Crazy. Now that you're going to feel like, well, how did they make that work? They got it at 38% of the ARV. $90,000 acquisition price, sold it for $235,000. Here's the timelines. They were in and out of that thing in 127 days. That's pretty impressive for the condition that house was in. Whew. Look at this. It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. They did an unbelievable job in there. Yeah. Who's the buyer?
And the buyer was EK Homes Holdings. Okay. So EK Homes is somebody you want to work with. They're actively doing deals. Now, the last thing I want to mention on this is part of the research that you can do is not just market research, but also your buyer research, even before you talk to them. We're learning stuff about the buyer. We know that EK Homes is an active buyer, right? We know they have the ability to execute. We've got money, and we know kind of what their buy box is. Or at least we've got evidence, empirical evidence of what their buy box is, because we're looking at it. 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 1,200 square foot home in 21215. They bought it for less than $100,000. They're willing to buy from the MLS, right? Some buyers say, "Oh, I don't take stuff from the MLS." Well, they're idiots if they don't, because the numbers can make sense, right? Why would they avoid this if they can make money? So we know that. And so when we call EK Homes and we say, "Hey, Mr. EK or Mrs. EK, my name is Benson. I'm an investor in the Baltimore area, and I was doing some research out there, looking at some of the recent fix and flips, and I saw that you just closed that house on Crawford Street with your client EK Homes. You guys did an amazing job on it. It's absolutely awesome. I'm finding properties out in the area, and I've come across properties that are off market, on market. Are you only looking for properties in the 21215 zip code, or would you consider some properties outside that? Tell me a little bit more about what you're looking for." So that conversation goes way better when you just drop little nuggets of information, because you're demonstrating that you know what you're talking about, that you're somebody that they should be willing to work with.
What do you think about Benson? Like, if you go back to that particular listing, obviously it has the agent information. What do you think about, because finding the LLC owner may be a little more difficult sometimes. reaching out to the agent, seeing if that particular client would be interested in an additional property, or obviously any of their other clients. Or you would say, obviously, if we can go direct to the buyer, boom. But sometimes, like I said, it may be difficult to find the owner of that LLC.
Agents are great to work with. You would absolutely try that if you couldn't find them. And you might call both, right? Because maybe that agent, Olga, maybe she can help you and represent you on some deals, right? But here's the crazy thing.
They got a website.
Here's EK Homes.
Yeah.
Right? Happy homeowners who sold to EK Homes. We got their number right here. You're absolutely right. Sometimes you can't find them. Sometimes they only pop up on like an Open Corporate's website or Dun & Bradstreet. Here's their phone number. So if anybody's looking for a buyer in the Baltimore market who's actively doing deals, EK Homes is one of them. It's ekhomesbuysmd.com. There's their phone number. Now, it isn't always that simple. Most of the time you do a Google search and it comes up with just, Open Corporates, and then maybe you can get a registered agent, and then you can go to True People Search and do a search. I do know that one of the skip tracers that I use, they're called Lead Sherpa, leadsherpa.com. They're actually really good at finding contact information for LLCs. That's one of the things they do well. But here's some information. They don't even have, so their agent is one of their other companies. So you could go down a rabbit hole in this one. But we found the website, right? So, but you're absolutely right, Ty. You would call that agent. And that's one of the things that Jamil teaches, right? That's that whole secret agent challenge that he did is all about how to work with agents to get them to send you deals. And if you've got an agent who works with investors, they're more likely to have properties that are, pocket listings or off market than somebody who doesn't work with investors. But you're absolutely right.
All right. Let's dive. We should have plenty of questions here in the comments. Let me get over here and let me see here. All right. Let's see what else. Someone wants to know what's the name of the site. The name of the site is Privy. What is it? Get access. I'm going to give you the information on how to access it because I'm an affiliate of them. He's going to make an offer to you because if you sign up through my affiliate link or whatever. But let me see if I find another one.
You got that?
Here's one right here. So when they ask for proof of funds and say, do I get an agent, am I able to process into the wholesale method? So basically they're saying, how do they handle whenever they ask for proof of funds?
Well, you just give them the proof of funds. So it's with on market, there's just different pieces of the process than if you're doing off market, right? With off market, you're working directly with the seller. With on market, you don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to negotiate. Your agent does all of that for you. So you just have to come up with a proof of funds. Ty's got a source for you guys. And then you give them that. And then the other thing is earnest money, right? So people say, well, I don't have any money to put down for earnest money. It's something you can work around. Now, your ultimate goal should be to have a couple $1,000s in the bank that you can use for earnest money deposits. But as long as you follow the dates and deadlines that are in the contract, and you don't use your own contract, you use the state approved contract for that state, your agent writes it up. They do it all. You just tell them the price and the terms, and what needs to be in there is an assignment clause. Now, you can't assign in every single market. Illinois, you can't assign more than one. In Philadelphia, they have certain rules. Oklahoma, I think, has some rules, but people are wholesaling there all day. And I'm not an attorney, but one of the things you can do is you can use LLCs to write the offer in, and then you can transfer control of that LLC. You can use land trusts. You can double close. There's lots of ways to still wholesale in those markets and still be compliant. But the other piece of that is the earnest money. So one of the Jamil students, her name is Michelle Garabito. She has a strategy. So when she writes an offer on a property that's on market, she does the earnest money deposit deadline 5 days after it's under contract. So that gives her 5 days to market that thing before she even has to think about putting an earnest money deposit down on that. And she also sets her inspection period for 5 days. So 5 days to market it, 5 days for inspection. So if she can't get a buyer in 5 days, she just asks the agent to submit the earnest money release. Well, actually, she wouldn't have deposited the earnest money, just to cancel the contract. So she cancels it. She doesn't have to put earnest money down at all if she couldn't find a buyer. And if you got a property that, like this one, they got it, 30 something percent of the ARV, you're not going to have any problem finding a buyer.
Yeah, and part of this is an opportunity for me to partner and network with individuals. If you, which I will get into more at the end of this, but if you're number one targeting properties out here, which is the goal for you to help them find deals, I would love to partner with you, and I'll help with that earnest money deposit. If it's a deal, obviously I wouldn't enter into it unless it was. So, and then the proof of funds, even though the service is available, I'll help you with that also. So, yeah, so that's not going to be an issue. You just need to be willing to put the work in, and leveraging this tool as valuable as it is, right? So, let me see here. Let me find
Great approach. And you guys, if you decide to come on board with us, you're not going to be left alone. I'll teach you how to do exactly what I'm doing here. I'll teach you how to search for the deals and, run your comparables. What's a deal? What's not a deal? We do 2 live trainings. We've got a mastermind Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we also have a daytime training on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, all right, cool. So, yeah, here's a question here from YouTube. To confirm, you can get the property, meaning finding the deal, and a buyer/investor all from this one site, or no?
Oh yeah, you can get the property from here. Right now, we're looking at all these closed deals. So this would be done to research, so like where the bar has been set. Where do you have to get a property? What percentage of ARV do you have to get it to meet the needs of your buyers? And the buyers are all right here. EK Homes was the buyer on this property. So you find your agent on here. You got your cash buyers. You got your properties, and then we just help you connect all the dots so you can just turn it into a machine.
All right. Let me see here. Well, we sort of answered this, but just to reiterate this, how do you go about finding someone to be your eyes? Well, either you're going to be doing this, or you're going to train someone to do it, or at least put them in front of a lot of the training that Privy already answers in their help centers, learning center through the site. A lot of good tutorials there, and we're going to be doing more of this. I know I'm going to definitely be doing more of this through my daily lives and some of the other content also. But to answer, you can answer that, Benson.
Yeah, so I found my agent off of a closed deal that I found when I was doing my research in the St. Louis market. So I just looked at the agents that were attached to those closed deals and started calling. I had to call 5 or 6, and 2 of those people were interested. One of them kind of fizzled out. She was all talk and no walk, but Nika ended up being amazing. So now she's handling everything for me. This actually property right here, she wrote an offer. This is a deal that I got under contract. I found it in Privy about 2 weeks ago. The system just sent it to me because I have my search set up in the St. Louis market. So I got this property under contract for 60 grand. It was listed for 74,000. And the after repair value for this property is, we marketed it for 190,000. 190,000. So this property right here was at 40%, 30% of the ARV that we got directly from the MLS at asking price. Didn't have to cold call or skip trace or knock on anybody's door. I found a buyer within an hour, $10,000 assignment fee. I've never been to St. Louis. I'm probably going there next week because I bought another property there that I'm going to keep as a rental. This is how simple it can be, you guys. This is not something that we're just, we're not selling a, expensive course trying to get you to buy into our proprietary, system for finding off-market leads. This is stuff that you can do right now. You can write 50 offers a day. It's absolutely the easiest way, in my opinion, to find deals without spending a bunch of time and money.
All right. So Top Shotta, what's the name of this site? And then it was a follow-up right after that. Where's the link to the property? So I got that taken care of for you guys. You know how I get down. So all you have to do is just text 100, short for $100, obviously. Text 100, and what is going to happen, you're going to get a reply with the link where you can sign up for this. All you have to do is just text 100 to 205-964-5243. The number that I always promote. So, all right.
Awesome.
And Benson, what will be the offer for them signing up in addition to obviously getting the great service? But we can go over that right now, then we'll reiterate at the end.
Yeah. So the offer, you have that promo code handy?
Yes, it's Flipman is the code that you gave me. So it's Flipman, all one word though. Flipman.
Yep, Flipman. So if you decide you want to come on and you want to work with me and Ty, we're going to get you the training you need to be able to use the system. But I'm also going to get you my course. So I actually built a course that teaches you exactly the steps that I took to go into the St. Louis market, step by step, on how to find your buyers, how to find the investor focused agent, how to talk with them. I actually recorded live calls as I was talking to agents and buyers. And I put this all together in a course that guides you from A to Z on exactly how to find deals and close deals in another market. And I have a coaching program where we do a coaching call once per week. And I typically sell that for well over, it's close to $2,000. But if you decide you want to come on with us, I'm going to give you all of that and the system for a full year for $930. $930 for a full year, the system and all the training, the coaching program, and my course, $930.
All right. With the $97 offer, does that come with that $97 a month, or what's offered with the $97 a month?
The $97 a month, you'll get a free deal calculator. You get to come to the mastermind session that we do twice per week, and you get what I call, it's a rehab guidebook. So if you are doing actual fix and flips, or you want to, a buddy of mine put together a book that teaches you from A to Z how to get prepared to do a fix and flip, running your numbers, how to do put together your scope of work, how to work with contractors. I'll give you guys that for free too. That's all with that Flipman code.
All right, boom. All right, we have a question here. Says, is it standard protocol for an agent to ask for proof of funds? Yep.
Absolutely, it is. It's part of the process. They want to know that you're not, blowing smoke, that you actually can prove that you can actually close and execute, and that proof of funds is part of that process.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the bottom here. All right. Someone asked this. I'm not sure if that matters, but if you're part of a local REI club, do you get a discount?
No, you get a discount through Ty.
Yeah. All right. Says, how can I get the service to learn from the team? So to answer this, just text again 100 to the number 205-964-5243 is here on the screen. Just text 100 to the number to access. All right. Let me see here. We got anything market specific. Someone wants to know if it's month to month. Yes, it is. If you can explain that.
Yep, you can go month to month if you want. Oh, by the way, we've got a 30-day money back guarantee, so you're never stuck in the software. I don't want you to get into the software and not have value and then be stuck in it for a long time. But the software does exactly what it's designed to do. I showed you several properties here that you can write offers on right now. Any one of those properties could make you $5,000-$10,000, and all we're saying is for $1,000, you could have it for a whole year. You're going to have way more leads than you can handle.
Yep. All right. So Jamil is the man. I just wanted to put that there. Jamil is the one that introduced me to the service last Saturday, and here Benson and I are already. So I really appreciate him.
Somebody was asking about the $97 a month. So the software itself is the same whether you go on the monthly plan or you go with the annual plan. It's just on the annual plan, you get more savings, you get more value, and you get the coaching and the more, hand holding and attention.
All right. Somebody says that I'm in Oklahoma. Yes, I think that was one of the markets when you first started that you identified there were a significant number of deals being done. All right. Let's see here.
Somebody's asking about the prices. So the deal is the bundle, right? So with the coaching program and all that stuff, I sell that separately for thousands of dollars. So what you're getting is the bundled price. You get the price and all those extra bonuses for the same thing. You're not going to be able to get that unless you go through Ty.
Right. So for the $97 a month, you have access to properties and buyers also, or just the $970? That's what you just answered. Okay. Yeah, you get the same.
Yep, you get both. You get access to all of those, and I'll teach you how to create those lists of buyers, but not just any buyers, right? These are buyers that are doing deals in your specific target market and or actively closing properties and would be interested in properties that you find, right? So these aren't buyers that are just floating around that you meet on Facebook who may or may not be active in actually doing deals.
All right. So we do have to have an agent to submit offers or be boots on the ground.
Not necessarily.
That's what I was say. What do you think about just going directly to the listing agent if it's a dual agency? Say, the way I always looked at that, it gives that agent an opportunity to double dip because they normally don't get 100% commission because another agent normally brings a buyer to the table. What do you think about that? You just think you really need to have that one person doing, your boots on the ground there. What are your thoughts on that? Another agent.
There's advantages to both, honestly. That's one of the things that Jamil teaches is to go direct to the agent. And so one of the strategies that he teaches is that if you go direct, you're coming what's called unrepresented. And so there's an opportunity for that agent to get both commissions. So when they list the property, they with that price that you see in the MLS, let's say it's $200,000, $6,000 is of that $200,000 is going to pay the agents. To pay the agent. And so your agent gets paid by the seller, not from you. So you don't have to pay that agent. You get their services for free. But if you go unrepresented, that agent can get both commissions. And so you could potentially, get some preferential treatment from that agent and they could help you along. But if they do decide to do dual agency, they're not your agent. So they're not going to be there to help you negotiate the deal or make sure that all the contract has the proper, assignment language in it. You're going to be the one that's going to have to track all the dates and deadlines. And they're not going to help you, find buyers. I believe in my strategy. I think that you should have your own agent, but you can definitely go direct. I know it works. It's just that there's advantages to both.
Yes. All right. So if you were going to do it where you're going to go direct to agents in those dual agency states, you need to have someone on your team or you always cultivating with other agents for their particular clients. You need to have someone doing that. Yeah. You look good, man. You're straight. I got you locked in here. Does Privy provide info in non-disclosure states, which you sort of mentioned it in the beginning, but That's number one, define non-disclosure. Non-disclosure states, as far as real estate and what we're doing, they don't make sales public. Whereas I think it's only like maybe 10 to 11, 12 non-disclosure states.
Mhm.
The other 38 to 40, the sale of a piece of real estate, the sale price is public. So whenever you're trying to comp a property or determine the ARV, the after repair value, it can be difficult if you don't know what they sold for. You don't have anything to compare it to unless you have access to MLS. So if you could just, I think I may have explained it, but if you can go into Privy.
Yeah. So we do. It depends on the state, but in the markets we currently have, like I demoed Dallas earlier. You saw that we had those sales in Dallas. So in general, yes, but there could be a state that we don't have yet that may have different rules when it comes to the MLS data. But in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we've got direct to MLS data there. It is the same data that the agents use. It just comes over in a raw format that we can use to run our algorithms on.
I'm not sure what's going on with my camera here. It's back. All right. Does Privy provide? Okay, we just had that one. I keep going now. I guess my camera's not going to let y'all can still hear me, right?
We can hear you. Yep.
It keeps going now. Hold on a second.
Yeah, a couple questions here. So Goofy was asking, do we really need to have an agent? You're going to need to work with an agent. You can either go directly to the listing agent or you can have your own agent. I recommend getting your own agent. There's so many things in this business that take time and take experience. And when you're doing off market, you're the one that's responsible for doing all that. But if you do on market and you have an agent, then they're the one that's doing the majority of that. They're writing the offer up, they're submitting it, they're doing all the negotiation. You're not involved in any sort of sales discussion with the seller, and you don't have to worry about people not showing up at closing. You don't have to worry about working with the title company. Your agent handles all of that for you. And that's why they get paid that commission, is because they're handling that transaction. It's definitely something you should consider doing.
Cool.
You can always switch over to yearly. Yeah, but you just won't get this deal. This deal is through, it's only through Ty with the bundles and the coaching and everything. And if, like next week, I don't know how long we're going to do this deal for, Ty, but it isn't something that will be available forever. It's just through Ty for a limited time.
Yes. Cool. All right. So if you're seeing this and you remember this part, what he's saying is it's limited on that particular offer. You'll still be able to sign up. It's just that offer. So, but at the price, the type of money that you can generate for something is $97, $3 a day is a drop in the bucket. All right. I don't know how much more you're good, or you want to, we can round it up. I think we went an hour and 13 minutes so far. Anything else you want to share before we get out of here?
Yeah, I would just say that, what I showed you guys today is a paradigm shift in what you probably thought about real estate or wholesaling. I think the key for you is, even if you decide not to use Privy, something you can take away from here and actually implement into your business today is make sure you're targeting high investor activity areas. Make sure you're looking for deals where your comps are at, where buyers are at, where you've got the data to be able to prove after repair value. Don't bang your head against the wall in a market that doesn't have high investor activity for the simple fact that you live there, or you work there, or you are vacation there. Change the definition of what your market is. People tell me all the time, well, there's no deals in my market. And they just keep looking like, oh, I can't find any deals here. So we'll look someplace else. I just showed you 3 different markets where there's plentiful deals. Don't bang your head against the wall in a bad market. Find another way of doing it. And with the data and the way we have the system set up, you can do this virtually any place. So even being in a market that's close to you isn't even all that helpful, because once it's too far to drive, if you live in LA, it might as well just be looking in Philadelphia. You're not going to go there anyway. So it doesn't need to be Las Vegas if you're in LA, because it's closer. Go to Oklahoma City or go to Philadelphia or Tampa where there's lots of investor activity. The second thing is where you look is going to be more important than anything else, right? It's all about the data. Become that local market expert. If you know what a deal is in your target market, and you can say, oh, here's the last 10 transactions, and you know those, you're going to be able to identify a deal when it comes across your desk. You're not going to have to run a formula on that to know if it's a deal. You're going to say, oh, that's a deal. I can get it at 50% of the ARV, and I know 5 buyers that will buy that thing at 60%. So now there's a 10% margin for you. By studying the data, you become that local market expert. You've got that local market intelligence that will make you way more powerful. You're going to get so many more deals done. And guess what? It's going to be fun again. When you are just cold calling people and talking to people that don't want to talk to you, and they're calling you names, and you're leaving voicemails and no one's calling you back, like, that's not fun. That keeps you up at night. This is fun. It's like a video game. Literally, it's like being on your Xbox all day. You're just finding all this cool stuff. You're submitting them. It's a blast. And I'm going to be here to support you every step of the way. I'm very active, working in the system, constantly doing training, and I do it myself, right? I'm not just some professional coach out there who's not doing deals. Ty's doing his own deals. I was just talking the other day. He was on the way to back from a title company, right? You want to work with people that are actively looking for deals and closing transactions.
All right, that's what's up, man. Wow. I've been anticipating this ever since I think we locked it in on Wednesday. So, yeah, man, I really appreciate you sharing your time, your knowledge, and like I said, now I'm naturally excited about what I do. But whenever I found out about something, and I think I'm a little plugged in, but I didn't know you all existed, But you know what? You say you did contact me. I do remember that, and I said I was going to search for it. Yes, I was going to search for the email. I don't know why. I want to go back and see, because normally I would reply, but if I didn't, it just might have got caught. I get so many emails like most of us do. But I do remember, because the name is a brandable name, Privy. You know what I'm saying? So I do remember that name or whatever. So I'm going to go back and try to find that email that you sent or whatever. And I apologize. So,
we're all busy, man. I mean,
yeah.
You get caught up in all the active stuff, putting out fires and helping people. And listen, I know there's people I haven't replied to, and it's not because of, we just don't want to. It's because we're busy, and we're doing the things that are in front of us right now. So don't worry about that at all.
Human, that's what they call it. Oh yeah. All right. So guys, you know what you can do. So I promoted this to start virtual wholesaling with only $100. I didn't lie. So here you go. We just showed you the tool. There's plenty of support for it. We're going to be doing more of it ourselves. If you're afraid of the earnest money deposit, that's what I'm here for. I'd love to partner with you. The proof of funds, we'll get that handled also. We just need you to get out there and find the deals, right? Find the deals. We look at them. If we want to ride with you, in a lot of cases we will. We would love to partner with you. So go ahead and get signed up. Text 100, text 100 to 205-964-5243. And if you want the additional bonuses that come with it that are a limited time offer, put in the promo code FLIPMAN, all one word, FLIPMAN. So again, Benson, we appreciate you, man, for sharing your tool with us. Very, very valuable. I'm sure we'll probably do something in the future. And as I always like to say, guys, we'll see you on the flip side. Thanks, Benson.
Awesome. Thank you, Ty. Bye, everyone. We'll see you later.
Flip man. It's the flip man. You want some money in your hand?